Welcome to Mitchell Elf. Our theme this year is Adaptations, and this unit is Hunter Hunted, and this is Center 3, Chain Reaction. The objective for this center is to appreciate students' roles as consumers and their dependence on living things for survival. So your basic goal here is to get students to understand their role in the food chain and what their role is as a consumer, and how dependent we as humans are on other living things for survival. So you'll first want to start out by introducing students to the concept of a food chain and emphasize that every living thing has to get its food from somewhere. So plants are producers, which means they produce their own food from sunlight and nutrients they take out of the soil. But animals are consumers, which means they cannot create their own food, and instead they have to eat plants or eat other animals. And then finally, there's another special subgroup that's called decomposers, and those organisms get their energy by feeding on dead plants and animals. So it'd be great to kind of just do an overview of what that means. Lots of students may have already done activities related to that in their science classes. There's a book, Pass the Energy Please, that illustrates the relationship between consumers and producers, and you can choose to read that as part of your introduction to the activity, or you can choose it to do it while the kids are making their food webs. So before you get out the materials for the food web, have students on a scratch piece of paper start naming a few of their favorite foods. And if they can't write the names of them, they could draw it. So for instance, if they said pizza was their favorite food, they could draw a picture of the pizza, or they could just write the word pizza. So then next to those food items, have them write some of the basic ingredients. So on pizza, there's cheese, and there's sauce, and sometimes there's mushrooms, and sometimes there's pepperoni, and sometimes there's green peppers, or whatever it is they like to eat on their pizza. And they should make a list of the different things. So if they wrote down peanut butter and jelly sandwich, they would write down bread and peanut butter and jelly. If they wrote down a bowl of chicken noodle soup, they would write down chicken and noodles and carrots and celery, and so on and so forth. You might have to help the younger kids figure out what to do, and then you're going to have them circle which of those things are plants and which of those things come from animals. So for instance, the green peppers would be a plant, but the cheese would be a food that comes from an animal. So then, after they've kind of brainstormed, you're going to pass out these food chain cards, and the kids are going to be making food chains based on the foods that they just analyzed in their brainstorm list. So what you're going to have them do is on their person, have them write their name, and then have them write their favorite food. Let's say it's pizza, and then they could draw a picture of it. And then, using their brainstorm list, next they're going to write down, well, what animals contributed to that pizza. So a cow contributed to the cheese, and cows or pigs contribute, let's say they put down sausage to the sausage. So they could draw a picture of those animals, or they could write down the name of them and what it was. Same thing for plants. You've got tomatoes for the sauce, there's wheat for the crust, and then green peppers. But then also there's the grass that the cows eat. So the cows that you needed for the cheese, they need to eat grass. That's not on your pizza, but it's part of your food chain. And so if they said, so this would be a fun place to put mushrooms, because a mushroom is actually a decomposer, but you could also have kids draw a little bacteria or mold, and that might be, they probably didn't brainstorm that in their list, but they can draw that there. And so older kids could label which of these things are producers and which things are consumers. So for instance, the grass and the green pepper and the wheat and the tomatoes would all be producers, but the cow and the pig would be consumers, and the human would be a consumer. So older kids could label more in detail what those things are. So then you're going to have, after they've drawn all that, and they should do all that drawing and writing before they cut things out. After they've done that, have them cut out all the different shapes, and then have them punch holes where you see the little circles. That's where they're going to punch holes, and you can help them do that. There's a hole puncher in the bin, and then you can cut some string and have them link everything together. And there's a key, even for the older kids who are going to want to jump ahead. There's a key on their original card of what order these things go in. Excuse me. And so when you get done, they should have this. Most importantly, their name should either be on them, the person, or on the back of the sun somewhere, so that they can identify that that's their food chain. When they're working on that, you could read more of the book, Pass the Energy, Please. You could also be discussing things like what would happen if no animals ate plants. What role does the sun play in the food chain? And talk about whether people are producers or consumers, and how do we fit into the food chain. So this whole center is about the food chain and where we as humans fit into it, and how the food we eat every day has a relation, how it is interrelated. So if you have any questions, please email us at mitchellelf@gmail.com. Located in the bin is the yarn and a hole punch and some colored pencils. If you want to let the kids use crayons or markers, that's up to you. I think colored pencils probably work best. There's also one of these food chains that on the back says that it's the original. And please don't use it to be used for copies so that we can make more copies. Because this is on cardstock, we cannot copy it. The paraprofessionals need to copy it. So if we're running low, please email us. And that's at mitchellelf@gmail.com. Or plan ahead of time to ask for some copies. So if you pick this center, I would highly recommend going in to make sure that there are enough copies for your classroom. And if there aren't, get a hold of somebody right away. And again, if you have any questions, email us at mitchellelf@gmail.com. And that's about it. Thank you.